To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
Mike Tomlin has broken his silence, and what he said about the Browns' quarterback chaos and his own team's mistaken pass on Shedeur Sanders is already sending shockwaves through the AFC North. It began with Kevin Stefanski and the Browns. Stefanski declined to insert Shedeur Sanders during Cleveland's loss to Pittsburgh. That decision stirred outrage. Media screenshots showed headlines about Stefanski's refusal, fan backlash, and commentary involving Jerry Jeudy. The drama, though rooted in Browns territory, extended its fingers across the division. Questions emerged about roster construction, draft decisions, and front office judgment. Into that noise stepped Mike Tomlin. Tomlin has rarely, if ever, publicly lambasted another team's personnel decisions, yet this time he did. During a Monday media session before Pittsburgh's Thursday night game versus Cincinnati, Tomlin addressed Cleveland's trade of Joe Flacco. He said, "To be honest, it was shocking to me. It doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings." Tomlin's comments referenced that Flacco had begun the season as Cleveland's starting quarterback. After 4 games and a league-high 9 turnovers, Flacco was benched in favor of rookie Dillon Gabriel. Then, in a rare intra-division deal on October 7, Cleveland traded Flacco and a 2026 sixth-round pick to Cincinnati in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick. Tomlin questioned the wisdom of sending a starter to a struggling division rival. He acknowledged that he couldn't fully fault Cincinnati for seizing an opportunity, saying it certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective. The comment marked a shift in the narrative, a coach from a rival stepping into what had seemed like intra-Browns chaos. Critics instantly noticed the boldness. Analysts called the move unprecedented. Tomlin's words have become the dominant storyline around the Flacco trade. But how does this relate to Shedeur Sanders and Pittsburgh's earlier decisions? Sanders, picked in the 5th round at pick 144 by Cleveland, fell farther than projected. He had earlier drawn interest from multiple teams, including a top 30 visit with the Steelers. Tomlin had spoken positively about Sanders during the pre-draft window. He described their meeting as normal, but noted Sanders showed a toughness and competitive spirit. Still, the Steelers declined to use any of their earlier picks on Sanders. They selected defensive tackle Derek Harmon at running back Caleb Johnson at 83 and edge rusher Jack Sawyer at 123. Then Pittsburgh picked quarterback Will Howard later at number 185. Tomlin later justified the decision, saying the team was focused on bolstering its big man presence in the trenches rather than chasing a quarterback early. Some analysts believe this will one day be deemed one of the worst decisions in the Tomlin era if Sanders succeeds. Former NFL defensive tackle turned analyst Chris Canty said, "If Shedeur Sanders starts the majority of the games this season in Cleveland, is not drafting him the biggest mistake in the Mike Tomlin era of Steelers football?" Others offered that the Steelers never seriously intended to draft him, according to team insiders. The rivalry context amplifies all this. Pittsburgh and Cleveland clash twice annually. Every decision in that division is magnified. Now, Tomlin's criticisms of Berry and Stefanski feed into comparisons between how well each franchise handles quarterbacks. The Browns' internal turmoil contrasts with Pittsburgh's own draft reckoning, and Steelers fans keep reminding each other, the Steelers passed on Sanders before he even joined the Browns' QB room. Tomlin's move also shifted attention away from Browns-only drama. The FIO, front office decisions at Cleveland, now look like something Tomlin predicted, a kind of divisional overreach. His public questioning frames Pittsburgh as more disciplined. The message: Pittsburgh knew what it was doing when it declined Sanders. The timing is notable. Tomlin's remarks arrived 3 days after Pittsburgh's 23-9 victory over Cleveland. That win dropped the Browns to 1-5 and extended Cleveland's losing streak in Pittsburgh to 22 straight regular season games. In that same game, Sanders did not see field time. He sat as QB2 while Gabriel started. Media coverage showed clips of Stefanski refusing to put Sanders in. The narrative became, the Browns mishandled their quarterback room publicly. Tomlin's critique over Flacco's trade further complicated the narrative. In a rare move, he called out Berry by name. That is not standard coaching posture. Most coaches avoid criticizing division rivals' internal moves. Tomlin's "just my personal feelings" attempt to soften it did not mute the impact. Joe Flacco responded by saying Tomlin was probably playing the game a little bit. The public reaction has already layered on. Media outlets flagged Tomlin's remarks as the storyline of the week. One observer noted trading Flacco to Cincinnati was shocking given his status as opening day starter. These dynamics converge: an unpopular Browns decision, a Steelers coach publicly breaking silence, and a quarterback the Steelers passed up now sitting across the division. The Sanders angle continues to fuel discourse. He draws social media attention. His brother Shiloh even impersonated him at a Browns-Steelers game, stirring confusion and viral buzz. Some Steelers fans see that as a taunt, a reminder that Pittsburgh let Sanders slip. The juxtaposition intensifies debates. Browns' poor judgment versus Steelers' foresight or cocktail of cautious overthinking. Tomlin's comment about a rival's internal move reframed the drama so that Pittsburgh now appears not only involved, but morally superior. He cast his team as strategists, pointing to flaws in others' management. Now the attention shifts to Thursday night. Pittsburgh faces the Bengals, who now employ Flacco. Tomlin's words aren't just criticism, they're a setup. He predicted that trading a starter to a division rival does not make sense, and now he must back that up on the field. Flacco will be his opponent. The public has pinned Tomlin into a corner. If Cincinnati's offense humbles Pittsburgh, those words will echo badly. If Pittsburgh prevails, Tomlin's critique will be framed as predictive and sharp. Within that frame, the Sanders storyline will demand more attention. If Sanders succeeds in Cleveland, the torch flips. Pittsburgh's decision not to draft him becomes a chronic misstep. If he struggles, Pittsburgh's conviction looks justified. The historical context amplifies this tension. The AFC North has witnessed quarterback controversies reshape entire franchises. Baltimore thrived with Flacco for years before moving on. Cleveland has cycled through 12 starting quarterbacks in the past 5 seasons alone. Pittsburgh enjoyed stability with Ben Roethlisberger for nearly 2 decades. That era ended, leaving the Steelers searching for their next franchise quarterback. Sanders entered the 2025 draft with polarizing evaluations. Some analysts projected him as a top 5 selection, others questioned his ceiling. The Steelers held the 21st overall pick and conducted a pre-draft visit with Sanders in April. Tomlin praised his toughness and competitive spirit publicly. Yet Pittsburgh selected Oregon defensive tackle Derek Harmon instead. Sanders remained available through the 3rd round. The Steelers passed again, taking Iowa running back Caleb Johnson. Cleveland eventually drafted Sanders with the 144th overall pick in the 5th round. Former NFL defensive tackle Chris Canty raised the stakes in May, questioning whether passing on Sanders could become the biggest mistake of the Tomlin era. His reasoning centered on the possibility of Sanders developing into Cleveland's franchise quarterback while Pittsburgh continues searching. That scenario would force the Steelers to face a division rival's solution twice annually for potentially a decade or longer. The Browns currently hold a 1-5 record. Dillon Gabriel serves as the starting quarterback. Sanders has yet to play in a regular season game. Cleveland's offense ranks among the league's worst through 6 weeks. Pittsburgh stands at 4-1, leading the AFC North. The Steelers' defense has generated consistent pressure and created turnovers. Their quarterback situation remains Aaron Rodgers at age 41. The Pittsburgh Steelers just sent shockwaves through the NFL. A surprising move out of Pittsburgh has everyone wondering if the team just took aim at Aaron Rodgers himself. This isn't just another roster headline, it's a move that could shift the balance of power, redefine the Steelers' future, and even impact Rodgers' legacy in ways no one saw coming. Rodgers, who signed a 1-year, $13.65 million deal with the Steelers this past June, has been upfront about his future. In an appearance on The Pat McAfee Show, the future Hall of Famer said plainly, "I'm pretty sure this is it." After 20 seasons of playing at the highest level, Rodgers made it clear this could be his last ride. And while his arrival in Pittsburgh brought a wave of optimism and ticket sales, his short-term commitment has now forced the Steelers' front office into a very uncomfortable position. With the NFL trade deadline looming on November 4, rumors have begun swirling that Pittsburgh is eyeing other quarterback options. Most notably, reports have emerged linking the Steelers to Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson, a move that would send shockwaves across the league. Richardson, once viewed as the future of the Colts franchise, has fallen out of favor in Indianapolis after being replaced by veteran Daniel Jones. Despite his immense athletic upside, the 23-year-old quarterback has dealt with significant injury setbacks, including shoulder surgery in 2023 and a recent orbital fracture that landed him back on IR. Even so, his ceiling remains high, and his rookie contract, averaging $8.5 million per year, makes him a low-risk, high-reward target for a team willing to bet on potential. Pro Football Focus recently named Richardson one of the top 20 trade candidates before the deadline and explicitly linked him to the Steelers. The move would make sense on multiple levels. First, it would give Pittsburgh a young, moldable quarterback who can sit behind Rodgers for the remainder of the season. Second, it would allow head coach Mike Tomlin and his staff to begin the transition to a new era while still competing in the short term. But this isn't just about Richardson. It's about what this means for Aaron Rodgers and how the Steelers are approaching their future. Rodgers came to Pittsburgh for one last shot at glory. He spoke about the tradition of the franchise, his admiration for Tomlin, and the excitement of joining a team that expects you to win. But those expectations come with harsh realities. If the front office believes Rodgers is one and done, they can't afford to wait until he walks away before finding his replacement. They need to act now. From the Steelers' perspective, the writing is on the wall. Rodgers' public hint at retirement essentially gave them permission to start looking ahead. It's not a betrayal, it's business. The NFL doesn't pause for legacies. Still, the optics are complicated. Imagine telling one of the game's greatest quarterbacks who just joined your team that you're already scouting his successor. It's a fine line between planning for the future and undermining the present, but Pittsburgh appears to be walking that line with surgical precision. Anthony Richardson, despite his limited NFL reps, is an ideal candidate for a team in transition. His combination of size, mobility, and arm strength is rare. If he can stay healthy, and that's a big if, he has franchise quarterback written all over him. By acquiring him now, the Steelers wouldn't be pressing him into action immediately. Instead, they could follow a proven model. Let the rookie sit behind a legend, learn the game, and take over when the time is right. Rodgers, for his part, hasn't responded publicly to the trade rumors, but anyone who's followed his career knows he's never shy about voicing opinions when he feels slighted or underestimated. Whether he sees this as a threat or just part of the business remains to be seen. There's also the financial side of the equation. Rodgers' one-year deal gives the Steelers flexibility, but it also gives them uncertainty. If he decides to retire or if injuries force his hand, the team would be left scrambling. Meanwhile, Richardson's rookie contract runs through at least the 2026 season with a potential fifth-year option in 2027. From a roster-building standpoint, it's a no-brainer. Secure the future before the present disappears. For the Colts, moving Richardson would clear up their own quarterback situation. With Daniel Jones entrenched as the starter for now, Indianapolis could trade Richardson for valuable draft picks and avoid any internal tension over the pecking order. They'd also be freeing up future cap space and committing fully to Jones, for better or worse. Back in Pittsburgh, this potential move is already sparking debates among fans. Some believe bringing in a young QB is smart insurance. Others view it as a lack of faith in Rodgers. But the truth lies somewhere in between. This is about longevity, not loyalty. The Steelers are trying to navigate the rare and difficult terrain of transitioning from one quarterback era to another without bottoming out. And let's be honest, this isn't the first time Rodgers has been in this position. Back in Green Bay, he watched the Packers draft Jordan Love in the first round while he was still playing MVP-level football. The message then was clear. The future is coming, whether you like it or not. Now, the same message might be arriving in Pittsburgh. The timing is critical. The Steelers are currently in the thick of the AFC playoff race, but they've shown inconsistency on offense. Rodgers has had moments of brilliance but hasn't quite regained the magic of his prime. Whether that's due to scheme, personnel, or age is up for debate. What isn't up for debate is that this team can't afford to be caught flat-footed at the quarterback position. Trading for Richardson wouldn't just be about 2025. It would be about 2026, 2027, and beyond. It would be about setting up the next chapter before the current one closes. For Steelers fans, this is both exciting and nerve-wracking. The idea of grooming a young star behind a legend is appealing. But the thought of Rodgers leaving after just one season, potentially without a deep playoff run, leaves a bitter taste. After all, the fan base had barely started to embrace him. The jersey sales were hot, the buzz was real, and hope was alive. But the NFL is ruthless. Sentiment rarely gets a seat at the table. If Pittsburgh pulls the trigger on a trade for Richardson or any other young quarterback, it will be a defining move. Not just for this season, but for the franchise's direction over the next half-decade. It would show that they're thinking long-term, that they're not willing to gamble everything on one more run from a 40-year-old quarterback with retirement on the horizon. And for Rodgers, it might be the final signal that his legendary career is entering its last chapter, Whether that chapter ends with a fairy tale finish in Pittsburgh or an early exit remains to be seen. To put things into context, Rodgers' time in Green Bay ended with whispers and tension. He left behind a franchise